address the question, if you work from home, should you be paid less? The answer here is clearly no, and there are several ethical reasons for this stance. Firstly, remote work boosts flexibility and broadens the access to talent, both globally and internally. This opens the doors to diverse professionals who may have previously been excluded due to location constraints. Now, consider this statistic of 40% of 25,000 global employees surveyed by McKinsey in 2022 stated they were likely to resign if fairness and flexibility needs were unmet within 6 months of working. This highlights the ethical obligation for employees to provide the equitable treatment, as neglecting fairness can lead to demoralized teams and unnecessary resignations. On the cost side, remote work significantly reduce the operational expense for organizations. For example, Twitter reported a 50% reduction in office maintenance costs. This saving proves that organizations can benefit financially without cutting employees' salaries. However, cutting pay for remote workers introduces serious ethical concerns. Wages reduction can lower morale, harm performance, and ultimately cause more resignation, undermining both individual well-being and organizational success. In conclusion, lowering pay for remote workers undermines their motivation and productivity, which are essential for both employees and employees. Ethically, organizations must value their workers equally, regardless of where they perform their duties. Now, let's explore the question, should Malaysia introduce a new law to provide employees the right to disconnect? The answer is an emphatic yes, and here is why. Firstly, providing employees with the right to disconnect ensures fair working conditions and support a healthy work-life balance. This law would help employees to recharge and stay healthy both physically and mentally, leading to a better workplace relationship. It also promotes fair workloads, reduce overwork, and ultimately boosts overall job performance. Secondly, this move will align Malaysia with the global trends, enhancing its reputation as a worker-friendly nation. This, in turn, will attract the international investors and make Malaysia more appealing to the foreign investors and modern workers who prioritize work-life balance in their professional life. By enacting such a law, Malaysia would not only protect its workforce but also positioning itself as a forward-thinking and competitive nation in the global economy. Ethically, is the right step toward promoting the well-being and dignity of employees. In analyzing both issues, whether remote workers should be paid less and whether Malaysia should introduce the right to disconnect, I choose deontology as the framework for moral reasoning. Deontology focuses on principles such as duty, virtue, and justice, which provide a strong ethical foundation for decision making. For the first issue, pay cuts for remote workers, I disagree with such measure from a deontological perspective. Firstly, on duty, employers have a duty to treat all workers fairly regardless of where they work. Cutting pay for remote workers disregard their duties and treat them as less deserving. Then, virtue. Equality is a core virtue. Fair treatment of all employees based on their contribution and not their work location, which is uphold this principle. And then justice. The agreement between the workers and employers is based on the promise of fair, fixed compensation for work performed. Breaking this agreement means violating the principle of justice. And then, for the second issue, introducing the right of disconnect in Malaysia. To disconnect in Malaysia. I fully support this initiative from a deontological standpoint. Firstly, the duty. Employers have a duty to protect the well-being of their employees. The right to disconnect ensures that the worker can maintain a healthy balance between work and personal life. And then, for virtue, this reflects the compassion, acknowledging the human need for rest and personal time, which foster a workplace that values humanity over mere productivity. And lastly, for justice, no worker should be overburdened or expected to sacrifice personal time unfairly. Justice requires that work expectations are distributed equitably. In conclusion, deontology prioritizes moral duties, values, and fairness over the outcomes or the consequences. This approach ensures that ethical principles guide decision, making it the ideal framework for addressing both issues.
Good day, Doctor. My name is Lim Chia Yee and my metric number is 293856. First, I personally disagree with the issue that remote workers should be paid less. Statistics from 2024 indicated that 98% of workers prefer remote work at least part-time due to better management of work-life conflict. Remote workers often maintain or exceed productivity level compared to their office-based colleagues. Also, reports show that 71% of employees are happier with hybrid or remote work, which also boosts productivity. Paying remote employees less is viewed as unfair and discriminatory, potentially decreasing morale and making it harder to retain talent, which many companies saving over 11,000 remote employees annually. These savings do not justify lower wages. Therefore, a fair and equitable approach to remuneration is needed to ensure all employees feel valued. Moreover, I support introducing a right to disconnect law in Malaysia. This law would allow employees the right to refuse work-related contacts after hours, which would significantly improve mental health by reducing stress and preventing burnout. Over 17% of employees in organizations with such a policy report positive impact. This law would help maintain clear boundary between work and personal time, leading to a better work-life balance and higher productivity. It would also safeguard work's privacy, making the workplace more inclusive and fair. Several countries, including France, Belgium, and Italy, have already implemented such legislation, which has improved employee well-being and productivity. Thus, a right to disconnect law would be a valuable addition to Malaysian labor regulations. Now, I will pass to the next member to continue the presentation.
Hi and good day. My name is Nurul. I'm Binti Zamri and my matrix number is 291745. So for my part, I'll be talking about two critical workplace issues, which is paying remote workers less and the need for a right to disconnect law in Malaysia. So first, let's address the fairness of paying remote workers less. From a moral standpoint, workers should be paid based on the value and effort of their work, not their location. Because we know that studies show that remote workers often work longer hours, which face fewer interactions and deliver high quality results. So, cutting their pay ignores their actual contributions and undermines the principle of distributive justice. And from an ethical perspective, utilitarianism highlights the harm caused by pay cuts, which is stress, dissatisfaction, and reduced motivation, which all of which hurt overall well-being. And Kantian ethics also opposes this practice because it treats workers as mere cost-saving tools, disregarding their dignity and hard work. And fair pay is not just about ethics, it also promotes job satisfaction, loyalty, and mutual benefits for both employees and employers. Now let's discuss the importance of a right to disconnect law in Malaysia. We know that in today's digital era, the line between work and personal life has blurred, which creates constant pressure to stay connected after hours. This leads to stress, burnout, and even strained personal relationships. Enacting a right to disconnect law would protect employees' mental health and personal time, which ensuring a healthy work-life balance. And it will also reinforce employers' moral responsibility to respect their workers' well-being and personal freedom. So lastly, I believe that fair pay for remote workers and a right to disconnect law are not just ethical, but necessary steps to create a more just and balanced workplace.
Hi everyone, my name is Feng with matrix number 2924171. I disagree that if you work from home, should you be paid less? Remote workers should not be paid less than their in-office counterpart for similar productivity and contribution. A salary should reflect the effort and value of work, not the location. Research such as a Stanford study show remote workers are often more productive with a 13% increase due to further distraction and not commute. Using a deontological ethics standard, fairness demand equal pay for equal work. In respective of the workplace, pay cut for remote workers could be discriminatory and undermine principle of equality, justice, and reciprocity, fostering distrust and inequity in professional relationship. Next, should Malaysia introduce a new law to provide employees the right to disconnect? I agree with the statement. The implementation of the right to connect law in Malaysia is essential to address psychological well-being, work-life balance, and the challenge of the interconnected world. The study, including findings from the World Health Organization, highlight that constant connectivity contribute to stress, burnout, and mental health issue. Burnout stems from loss of control, overwhelming work demand, deplete energy. In Malaysia, report from Malaysia Employer Federation indicate worsening mental health among employees due to the always online culture. Use the moral principle of fairness and justice. Such a law would protect vulnerable workers from exploitation, ensure equal treatment, and promote mental health. This this legislation is a necessary step toward furthering e- equality, respect, and healthier workplace practice.
Today, I'm here to present my personal moral judgment on two critical issues in the realm of management ethics: the compensation of remote workers and the necessity of a right to disconnect law in Malaysia. I stand for work from home workers should not be paid less. This stand is rooted a deep moral conviction that all workers, regardless of their work location, deserve equitable compensation. The moral judgment here is clear. Paying less for remote works undermines the principle of justice and fairness that's always emphasized the fair distribution of benefit and burdens. Remote work requires a significant amount of self-discipline and dedication, often blurring the lines between personal and professional time. It is a misconception that remote workers are less productive. In fact, a 2021 survey by Harvard Business School revealed that 77% of remote workers reported being more productive than when working in an office. This increased productivity, coupled with the additional costs remote workers may incur for their work setup, make the case for fair pay even more compelling. From a utilitarian perspective, fair pay of remote workers aligns with the principle of maximizing overall happiness and overall well-being. By ensuring the remote workers are rewarded fairly for their contribution, we are not only acknowledge their productivity, but also foster a sense of fairness and justice within the organization. This approach benefits not just the individual workers, but also the organization as a whole, as it promotes a positive work culture and high employee morale. Besides that, I have a strong advocate for the introduction of a right to disconnect law in Malaysia. This law is essential for respecting the boundaries between work and personal life, which is vital for maintaining mental health and preventing burnout. The moral judgment here is that workers are entitled to a life outside of work, and their well-being should not be compromised for the shades of constant availability. The Works Health Organization has recognized burnout as an occupational phenomenon, underscoring the need of clear boundaries to protect workers' well-being. Implementing the right to disconnect aligns with utilitarianism, as it prioritizes the mental health of our workforce, leading to reduced stress, improved work-life balance, and ultimately a more satisfied and productive team. Adding to this, the moral reasoning behind the right to disconnect is about recognizing the inherent value of workers' times and the importance of rest and recuperation. This respect is not just a moral obligation, but also a practical necessity for maintaining a healthy and productive workforce. By giving employees the autonomy to disconnect, we are respecting their personal life and acknowledging the importance of leisure and family time. which are essential for their overall well-being and happiness. That's all for my moral judgment. Thank you for listening.